Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you're listening from. Welcome to another great episode of the Resume Whisperer. I'm Joseph STETTER, and today we have a phenomenal show because I want to show you that the conversations we've been having for the past 3 months, that it's not just about designations. It's not about who has the most experience. It's about standing out. It's about being unique. And that relates to any industry. And today is no exception. We have a powerhouse. Master Sergeant Brendan Eckel is a 23-year, highly decorated Special Operations veteran and the only Air Force member in the world on the National Endurance Team. He is also a husband of 21 years, a father of 4 rockstar teenagers, a children's pastor who serves in the ministry alongside his wife, an author of the book Abs Are Made in the Kitchen. He runs multiple successful businesses that are all around health, wellness, nutrition, and well-being. And on top of that, right, he is ranked second in the world for DECA competitions. Let's welcome Master Sergeant Brendan Eckel, a.k.a. Coach B.
Woo! Glorious afternoon or morning, no matter where it is that you guys are watching from. Name's Brendan Eckel, but most people in the world know me as Coach B. It's an honor and privilege to be here with you tonight, Joseph STETTER.
The honor's all ours. So, Coach B, I want to start a little bit by you telling people what the DECA competition is and what's involved in terms of not only the actual competition, but the training for it in terms of the level of dedication that you have to fitness.
Well, guys, for those of you who don't know me and don't really know what DECA is, DECA is one of the newest phenomenons that is sweeping the global in the hybrid racing world. And hybrid racing just means it's not just running, it's not just weightlifting, it's really just a big modge podge of those two things together. So think of like a 5K that you would normally see any weekend in the world. Mix that with some Ninja Warrior that a lot of us watch on TV. And then you can sprinkle in some functional fitness, because we kind of need to have a little bit of strength to us as well. You take all that, you put it in a big bowl, you stir it up real good. What's going to pop out of the microwave or the oven is Deca Fit. Well, Deca really just kind of meaning 10, means there's 10 different stations that one would be accomplishing during their little 5K run. But from like a standpoint of what that would look like or what type of training regimen would go into that, honestly, Deca was created so that anybody could literally get off of the couch, walk up to the very first ever starting line, and be able to complete this particular event. The only difference between that person and maybe a world champion athlete like myself would be the amount of time that it would take them to work through those 10 particular stations. But I'm honored, my friends, to be here and share with you guys tonight. My story really comes from a background of a young man who never enjoyed fitness. I actually hated, and hate's a very strong word. I hated the gym. I hated everything to do with physical fitness. But what got me plugged into physical fitness was the tragedy that took place on September 11th. 9/11 was an eye-opener for a lot of people in this world, but for me, that was my call to action to join the military. At that point in my life, I really didn't have a whole lot of guidance and direction on what I wanted to be when I grew up. Guys, I'm almost 50 years old now, and I'm just now figuring out what I want to be when I grow up. But everything turned upside down on 9/11, and that's what got me into physical fitness. I joined the military.
Well, that's awesome. And again, I've shared that, I didn't know what I want to do when I grow up. And you and I are very similar in age. I'm 47. And, fitness is one of those definitely on the list to do. But, with two little kids right now, less of a priority. I'll call it that. But I love the fact that you said that for you was 9/11 that kind of inspired you. Now, along the process of not only being a decorated veteran, you've run multiple businesses. So tell me how you shifted from, being military or still being military, but also kind of into the mindset of being an entrepreneur. And then how do you build a team around you? And what do you do to celebrate them?
So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, I never had anybody in my family who was ever an entrepreneur. I actually got into it by complete, utter, total accident. Wasn't looking for it. Just like I wasn't looking for an opportunity to join the military. I was not looking to do anything, guys, anything in the realm of physical fitness. But I found that I had how would one describe it? You've got an itch in the center of your back, and you're like, I just can't reach it. I'm just like, oh my gosh. That was kind of the itch that I had going through life. I knew that like I really wanted to scratch this itch, but I didn't know what it was. The military put us through a series of rigorous mental training that, if I were to describe the vigors that they put us through, it was literally your worst nightmare that never ended, but I was awake for it the whole time. But that got me into a mental space that I really became unstoppable. Nothing could stop me. And then there was this itch that I couldn't seem to scratch. And I always noticed that I went into other businesses that I would pick out different things that were wrong, and then I would want to help them fix it. Here's an example. I would notice trash on the ground and I would pick it up and throw it away for them. I noticed that trays would be misaligned and I would rearrange their trays for them. I would notice that printer paper was out and I would like desperately want to fix it. And little by little, these small little clues was pointing me towards, if I were to own this, how would I run it? What would I do differently? How would I train their staff? How would I better prepare their staff for unexpected circumstances? How would we duplicate a successful model? Because as I started to go and visit other businesses, just frequently, like going out to eat or showing up at the gym, little by little, I was putting these pieces together and I had no idea. I had no idea what was going on. I just knew there was an itch that I felt like I needed to scratch. And then it really all started to come together. And that's when I decided to open my own gym. A young man who had no desire whatsoever to be caught in a gym, dead or alive, decided to open my own. And open it with a mindset of, I'm going to look at every single gym that I can possibly go to, take and steal. I said it, steal. As illegal as it may be, steal everything good that they were doing. Make note of it. We would literally go to places and grade them on what we felt they were doing right, what we felt they were doing wrong, and then question our ideal person that we wanted to target when we opened our gym, how they would do it better, what they were looking for. And that is how my entrepreneurial journey started.
Well, you said something that's very important. You did your research to kind of compare others. So, in the world of fitness, I know there is, like, at least in Canada, there's something called the Can Fit program, where 2 weeks and you have a designation that says you're a personal trainer, and I use that term in quotation. And then you have like TRX and kettlebells. So, how important are the designations for you when you're looking at someone to bring onto the team versus someone that, similar to your story, let's say, overcame? Because I look a lot of times at fitness professional. If I'm meeting somebody who's 300 pounds who tells me that they're a personal trainer, my first question is, were you 500 plus? Because if you were 500 and you drop to 300, I respect how hard it is to lose that 200 pounds. But if you're 300 pounds because you enjoy your pizza and your cake, but you now have a piece of paper that says you're a personal trainer, to me, that's kind of like there. Or, if somebody that's always been super jacked, when I go to the gym, I don't want to have no neck. I want to just be fitter, for example, and healthier, right? And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to bench press 300 pounds. I just want to be healthy. So, what criteria do you use to kind of select great team members? And beyond that, what do you do to celebrate them or to recognize the great work that they do?
Excellent questions, Joseph. So whenever I'm looking for people to be a part of my in-person program or my remote, because we coach um, in facilities, but we do most of our coaching now remotely. COVID kind of changed the way the world operates. So the number one thing that I look for when I am looking for new nutritionists or personal trainers is their desire to be a blessing to this world. I've met a lot of super fit people who were so self-centered it made my heart break. It was a look at me, look what I did, and it was never how can I best serve the needs of my clients? How can I make a bigger impact on this world and leave a positive legacy for myself? So the first thing that I always look at is their passion, their desire. Some people want a lot of credentials, and I actually don't look for that. I've met a bunch of people who have certifications that could fill a wall. I'm honored and blessed, that not only do I have a lot of art that hangs on my wall, I've got a lot of certifications. But those certifications come from a desire to be a better leader, because I know if I'm going to hire staff that other human beings are going to put their faith, hope, and trust into, that they need to know, like, and trust that individual. So I need to be able to lead, guide, and mentor them the best that I possibly can. So that comes from attending a lot of personal development and masterminds. So the things that I look for are very unique and different than other people in the world, because I can always educate someone. But passion is something they have to have. You can't teach that. Joseph, you have really awesome questions, man.
Thank you. And I love the fact that you talked about passion because, I, as a resume whisperer and corporate culturist, I kind of approach it from I'm genuinely trying to help you get there faster rather than here's my fee, give me. So I always start the conversation with here's free resources before I tell you why I can get you there faster. Right. And it's the same idea. And I agree in the personal development. So you talked about the passion, you talked about the remote. I know that you're launching a challenge very soon. So why don't you tell us about that and then a little bit, and then we'll get back to, for example, in terms of how do you go about training your staff or showing them how to make a bigger impact and what are some of the strategies that you brainstorm together to do. But before we get into that, why don't you tell us a little bit about the challenge that's starting early next week that some of the listeners might be interested in participating? Because if I remember correctly, you also have a cash incentive for people to participate in your challenge.
We do give away $10,000 every single month, and we started giving away $10,000 because honestly, we noticed that that's what motivated most people. Not the fact that they could get healthy, it was the fact that they could win a little bit of extra money. So Joseph, thank you for helping to continue to guide this conversation, and asking me for some of the links and things so people can figure out where to go to find this stuff. But on April 1st, and it's not going to be an April Fool's joke. We really are giving away $10,000. But the way that we do this, guys, is it's a 21-day body transformation. And that just simply means for the people who want to be a part of this online program, we're going to provide the fitness videos to you through our app. And all you really have to do is just download the app. Your meal plans and everything that you might need, grocery lists included, is all there for you inside the app. For the individuals who want to be eligible, so we basically take 10 people and each of them get 1,000 US dollars. I know that we're talking globally here, so these will all be spoken of in US dollars. But to be one of those 10, you just simply need to follow our plan. We don't do anything unhealthy. We actually tell people, do not do crash diets, do not do fad diets, do not do anything that's going to adversely affect your health. But here's what we do want you to do. If you're going to be one of our 10 winners, you've got to take a before and after picture. You have to use our before and after code word, and we make it so it's fair that no one can Photoshop these, no one can try to pull a fast one on us. We want to make sure that it's fair, because there's a lot of money involved. But basically, the proceeds that we bring in from the challenge, we give back to the community, because our mission and our focus is to battle and combat the number one chronic disease on this planet, and it's reversible with diet and exercise. So our 21-day challenge is just basically, how do we help guide you through healthy eating and the appropriate amount of sleep, exercise, and hydration? That's pretty much it in a nutshell. So if one was interested to learn more, you would simply go to my registration website. It's Team Be Extra. You know, B is Be Extraordinary, but it's also play on words. You know, BE's Brandon Eckel, but all of this is kind of condensed in my Be Fit project. I want everybody to be fit. And again, that's just a play on my branding. You know, it's Brandon Eckel Fitness. I thought I was clever. Some people just think you're corny, Coach B, but I thought I was clever. But I would be honored to serve anybody who is seeking to make a change in their health.
First of all, I love the message of bringing it back, and I think that ties into my next question, because a true leader doesn't just talk the talk; they walk the walk, right? So you mentioned earlier, and I want to tie this in with what you just said in terms of your program. So you have a bunch of designations. When you hire people, you're looking for passion to make an impact and kind of touch more people, help more people. Unfortunately, in North America, I think more than 60% of the population is considered obese, and so it's a growing problem that needs to be addressed. And the diet and the exercise, you know, I'm still recovering from surgery, but definitely am looking at your videos and learning information. And I'm glad that you're in my network where I can kind of reach out and ask you questions. But in terms of transitioning that to your coaches, your mentors, your nutritionists, right? What are ways beyond the fact that you compete in DECA that you give back to your team, that you kind of go, you know what, you help these people achieve, or whatever the kind of there, here's how I'm going to reward you, or here's how I'm going to recognize you, or I'll pay for your self-development. So what is it that you do with your team is on a kind of weekly basis, on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, to kind of celebrate the culture that you're creating of don't just talk about it, but actually do it?
You got it, my friend. So at least what we do with our team is I always want to make sure that their physical, mental, spiritual, relational, financial, educational needs are met. So we really go above and beyond to take care of our staff and our coaches. Because what I have learned is if we ever stop growing in any of these 5 pillars, you know, your faith, your family, having fun, fitness, or finances, that something's probably going terribly wrong in our life. So we should always be focused on growing in those 5 pillars. So we pour into our staff members, both the in-person and our remote coaches, by ensuring they have everything that they possibly need. So we do a Tuesday training every single Tuesday where we all come together and then I give homework. And in these homework sessions, there's really no right or wrong answer to any of the homework that I give to these young men and young women. And I'm just going to use young because I'm seasoned, but I'm a Toys R Us kid and I don't want to grow up. But with the homework that we give, it's really to help me understand them to understand me. So we do personality tests. So I know how to best communicate with them, and they know best how to communicate with me. With these same personality tests, it allows me to understand what motivates them, because not everyone is driven by money. Some people want prestige. Some people want recognition. So these homework assignments allow us to learn about each other, but also learn how to overcome sales objections. How do we overcome individuals who may be battling insert chronic disease? It could be some type of autoimmune disorder. It could be, they're going through chemotherapy. It could be recovering from a pulled strain or broken something. So all of these trainings that we do each week is to get us always in a mindset of growth. What I've learned from my series of mentors that I still have to this day, I've got 5, and they all mentor me in different things in different manners. But I've learned that every single room that I go into, I want to be the least influential person there. I want to be the least fit person there. I want to be the brokest person there. Like, the rooms that we choose to get into should make us feel very uncomfortable. And I do that in a controlled environment with my team. I want them to get comfortable being uncomfortable, so when that certain situation presents itself, they're going to know how to handle it. They're going to be viewed as the expert because they've put the reps in this in particular thing that they're about to overcome for the client or with the client. Joseph, my goodness, brother, you've got some pretty powerful questions, my man.
First of all, I want to acknowledge that even as a gym owner, you take the time to do personality tests so that you can not only communicate better with your employees, but you understand them. And as someone who's a corporate culturist, when I do recruiting, I put every candidate through multiple personality assessments and psychometrics so that I actually get data on how they think, how they act, how they behave, their leadership style, their communication style, so that when I present candidates to my clients, they get a complete picture of who they're getting beyond the notes. And I love the fact that you recognize that there are different needs and people are going through stuff in life where, if one area is broken and they're not ready to address it there. And I also love the fact that you said, as kind of CEO, you should never be the smartest man in the room, and you should always surround yourself with people that are going to level you up in different capacities. And that's something that I think, this mindset of mentorship is something that we need more of in the world. And I think that that's something that should be kind of standardized across all industries. And it's scary to me that I think of, let's say, banks where there's very little mentorship, but all about, I've reached this level and now it's all ego kind of thing. And it's more management rather than leadership. So do you have so let's say for fun, what are some things that you do for fun with your team? I know that obviously, since I know who you are, and I'm honored to call you one of my fitness coaches and mentors, that your kids are also involved with fitness and well-being. But what is it that you do, let's say, for fun with your team to build that culture, to build that mindset of, obviously you mentioned, going to workshops with your team, training them, leveling them up, making sure that they understand that. But what do you do for fun?
Well, those personality tests, and there's a series of them that will all give you very, very, very critical pieces of data because the lack of communication is probably the one biggest thing that we see in business, because we all think differently and we all like different things, which is also how we tie into our team building excursions. Because those personality tests are going to allow us to be able to see and understand from an internal perspective what things motivate them, what things that they find enjoyable, what things do they find important. Because something that's important to me may be completely irrelevant to 60% of the rest of the team, or even to any person that trusts their health to us. So with that being said, we always focus on the certain groups of people who are hardcore adventure junkies like I am. Well, we're going to make sure that there's a piece or a part of that excursion that we go on once a quarter that's going to just let them really scratch that itch. For me, it's jumping off of cliffs, jumping out of airplanes, going and having laser tags and paintball wars. But there are other groups of us, and of course I'm a weirdo, man. I'm in this boat too, that I'd love to just sit in a quiet room and read a book. And then after we read this book or read this chapter of this book, this is something we do every single month. We pick a book and we will go through this whole book in a year. The book that we just went through was Extreme Leadership. So every month was a chapter. We're going to read this together and we're going to digest this together and really bring our different sides of our brains together. How do we take that book, apply it to our lives, and apply it to our business?
That's awesome. I love that. I'm a little bit concerned that you're a pilot that jumps out of the plane. I know there's autopilot, but nonetheless,
I trust the plane, but I trust the person who's flying it once I jump out.
absolutely. I've been skydiving, and you know what? If it wasn't such an expensive hobby, and I also live in Canada where the weather is pretty bad, so I have a very short time frame of enjoying skydiving. But yeah, it is a great blast to do. So you've mentioned a few quite diverse there. What's the most unusual or extreme or memorable experience that you've done with your team?
Oh my gosh. So, okay, for those of you out there watching this live, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this extreme chip thing. There's some weirdos out there that like to boil their body from their mouth out with this extreme chip challenge. This would have to top it all of having an extreme chip challenge that I don't know that I'm going to participate next time. I'm smart enough to know that once is good enough for me. That yeah, the next time they want to do something like that, I'm just going to be the videographer, and I'm going to make a whole bunch of really funny Facebook, Instagram, YouTube reels out of that. But I will not be participating in that team building exercise.
When you say extreme, like, is this like going to like different types of saunas where like you super sweat, or is
Oh
it
no.
something else? So give me a little bit more details because now you've intrigued me.
Okay, it's a chip. It's one potato chip. The extreme chip thing is like you have to be able to eat the whole potato chip. And it's just like a regular size, it's not big, it's just a regular old size chip. But what's on the chip is literally like if you, here we go, guys. Here we go. You ready? You ready? Take a volcano, put it on a chip, and then try to put it in your mouth. It's that, just worse.
So I don't know if you've ever seen the videos of the people that voluntarily compete in hot pepper eating competitions.
Very similar.
like I'm like, after the first pepper, I would collapse because I can't handle spicy food, right? Bad childhood experience, but that's a story for another time.
Hey, I had a bad childhood experience after that event myself.
Yeah, for me, it was basically I took out a jar of jam. There was orange juice dripping down the side, and at the time, my family was living in West Africa, and obviously being 6 years old and a boy, took three fingers, put it in my mouth, and then I realized that a bottle of the hottest Tabasco sauce had burst in my mom's fridge. And again, this is West Africa, so when I say Tabasco, I'm talking like African Tabasco. Took me 8 hours to be able to get my breath back, and since then I've been sensitive to spicy food.
That was that for me.
So,
One,
okay,
one and done, right? Did you ever
yeah,
do that
exactly.
again?
So I finally built up to like wasabi, and in terms of sushi and a few other minor, like I can handle small quantities of curry when it's not too spicy or cumin kind of thing, but in large quantities, not my cup of tea. So we got about 5 minutes left, just under. Any final thoughts? And why don't you remind people again about your amazing challenge that you're doing that's starting on April 1st, and the fact that not only can people get healthy with all the guidance for nutrition and exercise and drinking the right amount of water and everything like that, but they could also win money. So, any final thoughts in terms of how to build a great team, as well as share again about your challenge, please?
Well, absolutely, guys. As we start to close this off, I'm always looking for health minded people who would like an opportunity to work from anywhere in the world. We do most of our work remote now, and I'm always seeking to find those individuals who would like to do a little bit of part time or even dive into it full time. Um, the the easiest way to reach me would be go to my website, teambextra.com. It's going to ask, for your first name, last name, email address, and phone number. I am going to be the one who personally receives that information. It goes nowhere but to my eyeballs. And I will be the personal one to WhatsApp you or email you, Zoom you, however you would like to be reached. And that would go for those individuals who would like an opportunity to look at what this could look like, this whole working from home thing with a health and wellness focus, or that individual who is seeking a better quality of life. I am a world class athlete, but I'm also a father of four. I'm also a caretaker for very elderly people. I'm very understanding whenever it comes to I like to drink. I like to, insert the thing. I'm one of those coaches that's never going to say, stop that, don't do that. I am an individual who may help you find an alternate for this thing that you love because I don't want you to lose weight. I don't want you to give up anything. Because too many times when we say we're going to lose weight, that insinuates that we want to find it again. If I say no, that insinuates that I can't, and adults don't want to hear I can't anymore. So we approach health and wellness very differently. So, guys, two things. If you'd like to be a part of our next 21-day transformation challenge, we're giving away 1,000 US dollars to 10 people. That basically means that you're going to have access to a platform that everything's done for you except for the actual like fitness. If you can put about 5 to 12 minutes, you're going to be a-okay. But that's meal plans, exercise routines, grocery lists, accountability, everything you could possibly ever need to be successful. And that goes for the other piece too. If you would like an opportunity to have a conversation about what would it look like to have an opportunity to work anywhere in the world. We're in 95 different countries right now. I'm very blessed that we have grown rapidly. But I'm looking for those people who are seeking an opportunity, that are health minded, want to make a difference in this world. I'm also looking for those people who like to get a little bit healthier. Joseph, I'm very excited for the opportunity to restart this journey with you. I know when we got started is right when you had to have that surgery, but you're almost ready to get back in the ring.
I need a couple more weeks at least. Brandon, you've been awesome. So thank you again for a phenomenal show. You've been amazing and brilliant information, reinforced a lot of what I've said in terms of the importance of culture, the importance of personality assessments, the importance of standing out and being a leader. So thank you again for being a guest on my show. And for those of you who listened, even if you're listening to the recording, get a hold of Coach B. It's worth your time. You can make $1,000 amongst other things. Have a beautiful night, everybody, or morning or afternoon, depending on where you listen from.
The last few days have been really amazing. I had a trainer course from the British School of Etiquette.
And I must say it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made and one of the best investments I've made in my own training and development.
Now, words alone will not describe the transformation and the positive path that I have traveled with the British School of Etiquette.
I find really I learned a lot from the lessons this time I came.
The last few days with the British School of Etiquette have been fantastic.
And what I've learned now is really beyond my expectations.
This is the most rewarding experience and the best investment I have made this year.
It was just great. I learned so much, and when I go back to Belgium I will incorporate a lot of it into my day-to-day life and business.
It's been absolutely wonderful for the whole week that we were here.
I feel transformed, and I feel like blowing a trumpet and tell people, come and do this school. This class is the best. This is the best school ever.
You should take it. It will change your life immediately.
I am now able to teach other people how to bring the best of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, BSE.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.